We thank you most sincerely for finding time to join us on today's episode of Tax Matters. My name is Olumuyiwa Matuloko. How is business going? Tick tack, like they say. We're in the month of February. And that means that out of the 12 months that make a year, for the year 2016, the first month is gone. January is gone forever. We do hope sincerely that you are gradually settling down. Don't worry, it will be well. Despite all the predictions, 2016 will be good for you. And we also hope that you will pay your taxes, your due taxes in due time. At the Federal Revenue Service, at the beginning of the year, they come together, the top echelon, the top management come together to review the previous year, the activities of the previous year, and chart the course for a new year. Mr. Batunde Fowler has been in the saddle since August 2015, and he has really got his hand on the handle. But for the first time now, because this is a new year, he's getting together with the top management staff of the Federal Inland Revenue Service from all the commands, permit the use of that word, from all the commands of the FRS around the country. The FRS has 10 operational regions, 3 in Lagos, the Northeast, Northwest, North Central, Federal Capital Territory, South-South, Southeast, Southwest. For 2 days, from Tuesday the 2nd to Wednesday the 3rd of February 2016, the top management staff of the FRS gathered together for the 2016 edition of the enlarged management meeting. And that is what this episode is all about. We wish that you stay with us for the next 25 minutes because you are going to be educated and enlightened. Once again, welcome.
This is the era of change in Nigeria. Phenomenal change that will greatly impact positively on different sectors of our national life. If any meaningful change will happen in our nation, government needs your support. Start by paying your tax. Corporations and multinationals pay your company income tax, value-added tax, national IT development tax, and education tax, among others. You know the immense benefits of paying your tax on time. You know the consequences of not doing so. Avoid the consequences, enjoy the benefits. It's a new dawn in Nigeria. The Federal Inland Revenue Service says it pays to pay your tax.
The 2016 Corporate Strategy Retreat of the Federal Inland Revenue Service was graced by a galaxy of who is who in the taxation subsector and the larger Nigerian political economy. In his welcome address, Coordinating Director, Modernization Support Group at the FRS, Mr. Kola Okunla, succinctly gave the reason d'etre for the gathering.
As we all know, all eyes are on the Federal Inland Revenue Service. The essence of this retreat is to take us far from the madding crowd so that we'll be able to focus our attention and concentrate. We need to think out of the box. It's just like when we are planning a house, an architect, we have to design the house. So we have been having bungalow performance. Now we want to have a skyscraper performance. And you know that when you want to design a skyscraper, it takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of effort. So throughout our collaboration today, we will be talking about some of the creative ways through which we'll be able to meet and surpass our revenue target.
Theme of the enlarged management meeting was optimizing non-oil revenue collection through compliance and enforcement. And that precisely was what was the kernel of the address of the Executive Chairman of the FRS.
During the welcome speech, the Acting Coordinating Director basically outlined why we're here. We have been building bungalows. It's now time for us to build a skyscraper. To us in FIRS, it is not an issue of meeting in a budget that we believe that it will satisfy FIRS as staff. But this particular budget went past, and also our own indication is that we have no other choice than to succeed and surpass the budget, which will be approved by the grace of God by the House in the nearest future, because this is a budget for the nation. It is a budget for all Nigerians. People see FIRS as the revenue collector for the federal government. This is so untrue. The Federal Inland Revenue Service is the revenue collector for all tiers of government, because all funds collected by us is shared by all tiers of government. So when we do not do well, the federal government does not have enough revenue. When we don't do well, the state governments don't have revenue. And of course, the local governments don't have revenue. And that is why today we have expanded this retreat. We have invited state chairmen from the various 6 political zones within Nigeria to join us at this retreat, because we believe that if they succeed, we also succeed.
The executive chairman thereafter went on to present the collection performance record of the service in the year 2015 and the projections for 2016.
In terms of our performance over the past year, we were only able to collect 3.7 trillion out of a target of 4.5 trillion. On our own, we have given ourselves a new target. We believe that we should be able to generate at least 4.9 trillion. And we as staff have decided to commit ourselves to this target. In terms of our strategy, we have already started implementing certain strategies, in that through the Joint Tax Board, we have had very good cooperation between states. We have exchanged information in terms of our taxpayer base, and they've equally given us their own taxpayers. We have gone on joint exercises to ensure that every taxable organization and adult is brought into the tax net. We have set ourselves a target of making sure that we have 500,000 new corporate accounts within our system before March 31st. To date, we have already recorded 354,000 new corporate accounts over the last 100 days. And I believe that before March 31st, we'll achieve that target of 500,000. And at the state level, we expect them to improve and have at least 5 million additional taxpayers before December 31st. We have also been in correspondence with all the state governors through the Joint Tax Board and requested that they partner with us to ensure that withholding tax and VAT payments are made as and when due, which is on the 21st of each month. And I'd like to congratulate Ogun State, the Ogun State government, because they were the first state to respond to us in the affirmative, and have agreed that we should set up office within their states to make sure that through technology, all payments of VAT and withholding tax are paid directly to the consolidated fruition accounts.
On taxpayer enlightenment,
we have already launched a new scheme called FEED, which are Federal Engagement and Enlightenment Tax Teams. They'll be going around to educate all taxpayers and to also register taxpayers to ensure that we have put in a measure of ease and convenience.
Mr. Fowler concluded with this promise.
This retreat is a retreat that is going to bring forth solutions, not complaints. Solutions of how we're going to address this financial situation. And where oil used to account for 80 to 90% of revenue, I can assure you, with your support and your efforts, internally generated revenue taxation will be the new solution. And by the end of 2016, I certainly believe that will account for at least 80 to 85% of all revenue required by the government. And by the grace of God and with support, we will not fail you.
Goodwill messages were delivered by the various stakeholders in attendance.
But I do intend to share with you my experiences with the Federal Inland Revenue Service. When the concept of TIN came about, I read about it in the newspapers. In the organization I was working at that time, I met efforts through my accounts department to get a tin. I kept on asking, I need a tin, I need a tin, I need a tin. Somehow, I was not successful because they were not really cooperative. Then somebody told me that actually you could get a tin online. And I tried it and I got a tin online. That I think was very pleasant for me. Secondly, some time ago I needed to pay my taxes. I filled in the form, the normal way we used to fill our forms. And I sent it to the FII's office because I was working for a federal establishment at that time, here in Abuja. But I didn't go personally. So my pleasant experience was that throughout the process, I kept on speaking with one or two of your staff on phone without physically going to any office. All I needed to do was to send somebody with my documents and all the relevant papers. And eventually I was given an assessment, which quite frankly I felt was very high. I complained on phone again, and I was advised, and then of course I was educated through a pamphlet that clearly showed how the tax that I was meant to pay was arrived at. I felt okay, I should pay, but obviously I simply could not afford to pay the entire amount. Once again on phone, I said, what do I do? They said, pay some amount. I said, what percentage? They said, maybe 80%. I said, well, if I could pay 80%, I might as well pay 100%. And eventually I wrote a letter. I still didn't go to any office. I just wrote a letter and said, see, you've charged me 1.7 million. I will pay you 1 million now. And then subsequently I will pay the balance. Please kindly consider and issue me tax clearance. And that's what happened. I was advised the bank to pay the draft to, the office to go to, and I did all that by just sending an aid. Eventually I got my tax clearance. And I think, basically the point I want to say is, Dr. Fola, you took over an organization that during the last few years has done tremendously very well.
Our budget for 2016 was predicated on $38 per barrel of crude oil. But as we speak, the price has since gone down to about $30 per barrel. That notwithstanding, our budget, as presented by Mr. President, of 6.08 trillion for 2016 remains. Why do we have that confidence that we'll be able to deliver this budget? Because we work very closely with the Federal Inland Revenue Service. And the chairman and staff, indeed, have promised that, given the support, they can generate this 6.08 trillion alone.
The economy of Nigeria today is moving away from oil, and a lot of what is going to happen in this year's budget and going forward is going to be dependent on what you are going to achieve here today. Therefore, I urge all of you to find out how we can be able to get our people to key on the line of being able to pay taxes, and taxes that are going to help us to ensure that our economy gets back on the board.
Senator John Eno, Chairman, Senate Committee on Finance, declared the two-day retreat open.
At no time in the history of our country has there been the requirement for the service to step up its game. At no time in the history of our country has there been so much expectation that the Federal Revenue Service
will have to deliver. And I can just introduce you to a few of the figures. I mean, if you look at the 2015 budget, the total net oil and gas was about 3.4 trillion. For 2016, just about 1.4 trillion. And going forward, I believe that the service will more than have to surpass the expectations of Nigerians if the 2016 budget has to work. I mean, when the debates were going in the National Assembly, in the two chambers of the National Assembly, I mean, a lot of doubts were being cast on the workability, on the implementation of the 2016 budget. In spite of how bad things are internationally, our aggregate expenditure figure is headed northwards, 6 trillion plus. In spite of the fact that the budget in the National Assembly is based on $38 to a barrel, and this figure is headed southwards, there is still a lot of optimism. And there's no individual I've met in recent times that has exuded such optimism as much as the executive chairman of the Federal Land Revenue Service. And I'm glad listening to the Minister of the FCT. He's underscored the point, the fact that this chairman has inherited a highly professional service. If you look at government revenue projection, federal government for 2016, the projection is about 870 billion for oil revenue. The bulk of the gap is going to be provided by what? The Federal Revenue Service. Yes, independent revenue of government is about 1.54 trillion. But my experience looking at those figures in the last couple of years is that it has always been the reason why government is not able to realize the revenue projections. That means as I stand here, my greatest hope is for the Federal Revenue Service. And that is the hope of all Nigerians, ladies and gentlemen. That is the hope of all Nigerians. So sitting here on an event that has become annual, we're not going to live here appreciating the point if you treat it as an ordinary annual event. You need to appreciate it more when you look at where we are as a country. And I'm going to repeat, government's 2016 budget will work or not depending on what the Federal Revenue Service is able to achieve. The stakes for the service are so high, the expectations so huge, but I have no doubt in my mind that the leadership that you have, working with a very professional service, will be able to meet up with these expectations and surpass them.
The program is Tax Matters, and we are bringing you on this episode blow-by-blow account of what transpired at the two-day corporate strategy retreat of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, which held in Abuja between Tuesday the 2nd and Wednesday the 3rd of February 2016. Opening formalities over, the two-day retreat got underway with a presentation by the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN.
We need to do more on the team, enlightenment for taxpayers, because a lot of people, they still ask, do we have two teams? Is there one team for Joint Tax Board and another team for FRS? Please do more enlightenment on this thing, because a lot of people, they ask questions. Then the National Tax Policy document. What is happening to this document? Government spent a lot of money in producing this document. We went to so many meetings. There was a time we invited all the commissioners of finance in all the 36 states throughout to come and put heads together to produce this document. What is happening to it? If you need to do a review, let's do a review. If there's no need to do a review, let us do approve the tax policy document as it is, but don't let us dust it under the desk. We need to bring it out and revive it.
Representatives of accounting and auditing firms, as well as the managing director of the Financial Institutions Training Center, FITC, took turns to contribute to discussions at the retreat. Papers were presented around the theme of the enlarged management meeting. On day 2, Wednesday, February 3rd, the Honorable Federal Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, who had been away in her home state of Ogun to join her state governor in hosting President Muhammadu Buhari, joined the retreat very early in the morning.
Yesterday and the day before were 40 years in Ogun, so I was in Abuja, and I got up this morning I got out of my house at 6. That gives you an idea of how important it was for me to be here, to spend time. Please don't clap yet. You may not like what I have to say. Don't clap yet. How important it is for me to be here with you today. It's not that I particularly like you, but I really need money. So, but that's just a joke. I love you very dearly. As has already been said, the FIRS is the primary revenue generating agency, not just for the federal government, but also for state and local governments. And it is key to the achievement of government's revenue targets and the implementation of our budget and strategy to revive the economy. Accordingly, we'll always give priority to issues relating to FIRS. And that's the reason for my joining you at this 2016 Corporate Strategy Retreat. The challenge that has been given to the leadership of FIRS is to completely transform tax collection and tax policy to ensure that tax compliance becomes the norm rather than the exception. Specifically, we are looking and expecting every Nigerian business and any business operating in Nigeria to pay their fair share and become good corporate citizens. We will look to protect the progressive nature of the tax system, where those who are more able to pay bear a greater share of the tax burden. Accordingly, we've recently announced plans to reduce the tax burden on smaller businesses, as we see this sector as key to the growth of the economy. Within the Ministry of Finance, we are finalising a cross-agency programme that will make it virtually impossible to conduct any major business, particularly with government, without not merely being registered for tax under the TIM programme, but to have an up-to-date compliance status. Taxation is without doubt the most stable and sustainable source of revenue generation for any government which wants to bring real development and change to the people. And funding government through taxation also improves accountability and actually supports democracy, as it has been known that tax-paying citizens hold their leaders accountable for performance and service delivery. From what I have seen and observed so far, I'm confident that you will not only meet, but you are going to surpass your revenue target for 2016. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say the entire nation is depending on you. I don't exaggerate when I say the nation is depending on you. We have to get this right. There really is no room for failure. Please take your jobs extremely seriously. This is not a job. This is not just a job anymore. This is what the nation needs to grow. This is what the nation needs to deliver better lifestyles for our people, to lift people out of poverty, to ensure that people's cost of living is affordable. It is because we don't have the infrastructure that we need that living in this country is so expensive. Please, we need everybody, all hands to be on deck to ensure that we achieve this.
Day 2 was largely devoted to a review of the FIRS 2012 to 2015 medium-term plan, which was presented by Mr. Ajayi Bamidele, and the draft FIRS 2016 to 2020 medium-term plan, which was presented by Dr. Aishek Meidugu. Because of time constraints, details of these presentations and other matters relating to the 2016 FIRS Corporate Strategy Retreat will come to you in the next episode of Tax Matters. We don't know about you, but we have come away from this 2-day meeting convinced that the Federal Inland Revenue Service is equal to the task of rescuing Nigeria from the dire economic straits in which it presently finds itself, And what we can only do is to wish Mr. Fowler and his team the very best of luck. And you and I, the best in our business endeavors. We thank you most sincerely for watching. Let's do this again next week. Same station, same day of the week, same time of the day. Have a blessed week ahead.